One of the things that I love most about my show is that when I travel the world, a lot of people tell me that we inspire them to want to bake. We inspire them to, want to go to culinary school.
This is the crew, Mia Familia. We're gonna take this bakery to the top. They call me Buddy. I'm the boss.
One day I do want to take over the business. I want to be there for my dad. Now that I'm older, I want to learn from him.
For years, audiences couldn't get enough of the chaos inside Carlo's Bakery in Hoboken, New Jersey. The towering cakes, the shouting matches, the family drama, and the over-the-top creations that defied gravity. Cake Boss wasn't just a baking show, it was a cultural phenomenon.
I've done a lot of crazy things and I've had a lot of accomplishments in my life.
But behind the frosting and fame, cracks began to show. Ego clashes, lawsuits, personal scandals, and a changing TV landscape all started to chip away at the empire Buddy built.
Well, welcome back to GMA3, and it was just a week ago our friend and Cake Boss star Buddy Valastro, well, he was involved in a really terrible accident in his New Jersey home and has left his dominant right hand badly injured.
So what really happened to the Cake Boss? Was it the industry, the fame, or Buddy himself? Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the rise and fall of one of reality TV's most explosive success stories. From the streets of Hoboken to the global spotlight, Buddy Valastro, better known as the Cake Boss, turned flour, sugar, and sheer determination into an empire. But behind the sweet success lies a story that's as intense as it is inspiring. Born on March 3rd, 1977, in Hoboken, New Jersey, Bartolo Buddy Valastro Jr. was the fourth of 5 children in a hardworking Italian-American family. His father, Bartolo Sr., ran Carlo's Bakery, a modest neighborhood shop with a big reputation for mouth-watering pastries and old-school charm. But this wasn't just any family business. It was the heartbeat of Buddy's childhood. While most kids were playing outside, Buddy was elbows deep in flour, studying his father's every move and absorbing the unspoken lessons of grit, pride, and perfection.
Went home, took my suit off, put my baker's outfit on, and I went back to work.
Those long hours in the bakery weren't just training, they were transformation. Buddy wasn't just learning to bake, he was being molded into a future icon. Buddy's love for baking wasn't just a hobby, it was destiny. From a young age, it was clear he had something special, a natural gift for turning simple ingredients into jaw-dropping edible art. But fate had other plans, and life wasn't about to let him rise without a fight.
I'll always love you. And I got to say my piece. I got to say my goodbye to her. It was tough.
At just 17 years old, tragedy struck. In 1994, Buddy's father, Bartolo Valastro Sr., lost his battle with lung cancer. The man who had been his mentor, his inspiration, and the backbone of Carlo's Bakery was suddenly gone. The loss was devastating, personally and professionally. Overnight, Buddy was thrust into a role most grown men would struggle with, running the family bakery. A teenager still figuring out life was now in charge of preserving his father's legacy and keeping the family business alive.
It's really been a dream come true, like a pinch me moment. And all the different things I've been able to do or the places I've been able to go and see.
It was a trial by fire. The pressure was relentless, the expectations crushing. But through it all, Buddy's mother, Mary Valastro, stood by his side, his anchor in the storm. Her strength and wisdom kept the family grounded as Buddy learned, stumbled, and eventually rose to the challenge. Under his leadership, Carlo's Bakery began to evolve. He didn't just maintain the legacy, he reinvented it. Buddy's creative spark transformed the bakery into a destination. He introduced new recipes, bolder designs, and an artistic flair that pushed the boundaries of what a cake could be. From traditional Italian pastries to extravagant wedding and specialty cakes, Buddy turned Carlo's into a stage, and the world was about to take notice.
It's definitely been an amazing ride. And
Buddy's obsession with perfection wasn't just admirable, it was borderline legendary. Every swirl of frosting, every handcrafted petal, every towering cake told the world that Carlo's Bakery wasn't just baking desserts, it was creating art. Word spread fast. People from all over began flocking to Hoboken, eager to see the magic for themselves. But here's the twist. For all its growing fame, Carlo's was still just a local bakery. The cakes were extraordinary, sure, but Hoboken was a long way from Hollywood. So how did a family-run bakery suddenly explode into one of the most recognizable names in America? That answer came in 2009 when television came knocking. A sharp-eyed producer spotted Buddy's flair for drama, creativity, and chaos, and TLC knew they had struck gold. Cake Boss was born, and Buddy's world would never be the same again. The show pulled back the curtain on the day-to-day madness of Carlo's bakery. The impossible deadlines, the family feuds, and the jaw-dropping cakes that seemed to defy gravity. It was raw, funny, and addictive. Viewers couldn't get enough of Buddy's booming personality, his relentless work ethic, and the fiery love that held the Velastro family together.
My great-grandfather was a bread baker. My grandfather was, and my father was, and I am, and hopefully my son will be, you know?
Almost overnight, Cake Boss became a cultural phenomenon. Buddy Velastro went from a local legend to an international star, and suddenly everyone wanted a piece of Carlo's bakery. More than just a show, it ignited a nationwide obsession with cake decorating and proved that sugar, family, and a little attitude could make for reality TV gold.
Clock is ticking. I gotta get this cake done. I don't want to disappoint these kids.
As Cake Boss gained momentum, Buddy Velastro's legend as a cake artist exploded. His creations weren't just desserts. They were spectacles, the kind of cakes that made people question whether they were even real. Buddy's decorating style broke every rule in the book. He fused old-school craftsmanship with wild, television-worthy showmanship. Cakes that could move, light up, or even breathe fire. His attention to detail bordered on obsessiveness, and his imagination had no limits. From life-size cake sculptures to wedding cakes so ornate they looked sculpted from marble, Buddy made it clear, this wasn't baking, it was performance art.
Again, everybody together, that only took 10 minutes.
He didn't shy away from the bizarre either. Whether it was a cake shaped like a toilet that actually flushed, or a zombie so realistic it made customers scream, Buddy's creativity pushed the line between genius and madness, and fans loved every second of it. Behind the spectacle, though, the heart of Carlo's bakery remained family. Buddy's sisters, Lisa and Grace, and his brother-in-law played key roles in keeping the business grounded. His mother's presence lingered as the emotional glue, and his wife, Lisa Velastro, along with their 4 children, gave the show its softer, more relatable side. That balance between chaos and family values became Buddy's brand. He was the loud, tough-talking Jersey baker with a heart of gold, a man who could juggle fame, fortune, and fatherhood without losing sight of where he came from.
My great-grandfathers came to America, they made a little bit of money, then they went back to Italy to start their own lives, and both my parents were born in Italy.
Over the show's decade-long run, fans witnessed jaw-dropping triumphs and unforgettable disasters, like the time a massive chandelier cake came crashing down mid-photo shoot, scattering sugar and egos across the floor. But that was the magic of Cake Boss. No matter how messy things got, Buddy always found a way to rise from the crumbs. If you thought Cake Boss was just about pretty pastries, think again. Buddy Velastro and his crew didn't just bake cakes. They created jaw-dropping spectacles that blurred the line between art and insanity. One of their most infamous creations, a rotting zombie cake, complete with peeling skin, exposed organs, and blood dripping from a hollowed eye socket. It was grotesque, shocking, and unforgettable. And that's exactly how Buddy liked it.
I'm so far out of my element. I mean, I usually make these pretty things, but they were like, the bloodier the better, baby. Bring it on.
But the madness didn't stop there. The team once crafted a wedding cake for a cat and dog couple, complete with an entire animal wedding party, tiny edible tuxedos, and veils. It was the kind of over-the-top creativity that made Cake Boss a must-watch. Part baking show, part circus act. Then came one of the show's most talked-about moments, the Buddy versus Duff Showdown. The Cake Boss went head-to-head with his rival, Duff Goldman, in a high-stakes battle of baking titans. Both produced mind-blowing creations, judged by celebrity chefs, in an episode that had fans glued to their screens and debating who truly ruled the cake world.
You can talk. It ain't gonna mean you're gonna win.
Me, on the other hand, my fillings are all set, my dough is all prepared, now I'm just gonna sit back.
Still, beneath all the chaos and sugar-fueled theatrics, Cake Boss had heart. When Buddy's beloved mother, Mary Velastro, passed away in 2017, the show aired a touching tribute that left fans in tears. Buddy opened up about how deeply she shaped his life and career, reminding viewers that for all the fame and frosting, family always came first. The team's compassion showed in other ways, too. They created cakes for children with disabilities, families grieving loved ones, and countless charity causes. For every outrageous cake that went viral, there was another that brought real joy to someone's life.
It was such a touching moment, and I was just happy to be there.
Thank you, kids. Happy Easter.
In the end, Cake Boss had everything. The drama, the laughter, the heart, and the hustle. It wasn't just about baking cakes. It was about building dreams, one layer at a time. And Buddy Valastro was the man who turned those dreams into reality. At first, Cake Boss was unstoppable. Buddy Valastro had become a household name, and TLC milked that fame for all it was worth. The brand exploded into a full-blown empire. Spin-offs, specials, and international versions popped up everywhere. Shows like Kitchen Boss, Next Great Baker, and Buddy's Bakery Rescue tried to capture that same family magic and larger-than-life energy that made the original so irresistible. Meanwhile, Carlo's Bakery turned into a tourist magnet. Fans lined up for hours outside the Hoboken shop, desperate for a bite of the same cakes they saw on TV. Buddy was suddenly everywhere. Magazines, talk shows, red carpets, you name it. He was no longer just the cake boss. He was a full-fledged celebrity.
My mom was too.
Now that's great!
My dad told me how to make cakes,
He's a good man.
but my mom told me how to be the boss.
But that's when things started to change. Overexposure began to take its toll. The market was flooded with Buddy-branded everything, and what was once fresh and exciting started to feel predictable. The drama, the shouting, the giant cakes, it all became routine. As the old saying goes, familiarity breeds contempt. Viewers who once adored the Valastro family's charm and chaos began to drift away. The novelty had worn off. What was once a heartwarming glimpse into a family bakery had turned into a franchise stretched too thin. And then came the real trouble. In 2013, reports surfaced that Buddy Valastro had underpaid his employees, allegedly paying them below minimum wage, a direct violation of the Fair Labor Standards Act. The revelation tarnished the show's wholesome image and cast a shadow over Buddy's reputation as the fun-loving, family-first baker.
I've done a lot of crazy things and I've had a lot of accomplishments in my life.
The combination of viewer fatigue and bad press created a recipe for decline. The empire that once looked unstoppable was now crumbling. One controversy, one disappointed fan, and one lost viewer at a time. As Cake Boss's fame hit its peak, the cracks beneath the glossy frosting began to show. What started as whispers from behind the counter soon exploded into full-blown controversy. Several employees came forward with serious accusations against Buddy Valastro and Carlo's Bakery. They claimed they were being paid as little as $5 an hour, while the minimum wage in New Jersey was $8.25 at the time. But the pay issue wasn't the only problem. Workers also accused Buddy of running the bakery like a dictatorship, alleging verbal abuse, intimidation, and an atmosphere of constant fear. Some even said he bullied employees without cause, making the workplace unbearable.
I've always worked hard, right? You know, my parents instilled in me hard work ethics that I continue to this day, and I try to bring into my kids.
Buddy, for his part, denied everything, insisting he had always paid his staff fairly and treated them with respect. But the damage was already done, and when the New Jersey Department of Labor and Workforce Development got involved, things got serious fast. In 2014, Buddy agreed to a settlement, repaying wages and implementing new policies to ensure fair pay and a safer work environment. While he avoided admitting wrongdoing, the optics were brutal. For many fans, the once beloved Cake Boss now looked like the bad boss. But that wasn't the only scandal that year. In late 2014, Buddy made headlines again, this time for something far more personal. He was arrested in Manhattan for driving under the influence after being pulled over for erratic driving. The story exploded across tabloids and morning shows. For a man who had built his empire on family values and hard work, the mugshot told a very different story.
Cake Boss facing some serious charges this morning. The NYPD says officers arrested him for driving drunk.
The DUI arrest shattered the clean, wholesome image the Valastro family had carefully cultivated on TV. Fans were divided. Some defended him as human and flawed, while others saw it as proof that fame had gone to his head. Either way, the damage was done.
Just into our newsroom, celebrity chef Buddy Valastro, a man known as the Cake Boss, was arrested and charged with DUI early this morning. According to reports, officers noticed Valastro's vehicle swerving on 10th Avenue in the city.
By this point, the once sweet Cake Boss brand had started to taste bitter, and the cracks in Buddy's empire were only getting deeper. Just when it seemed Cake Boss might recover from its earlier controversies, another storm hit, and this one hit hard. In one particularly explosive incident, the show drew widespread backlash for an episode featuring transgender model and actress Carmen Carrera. What was meant to be a lighthearted prank quickly turned into a public relations nightmare. During the episode, Carrera was brought on as part of a gender reveal cake gag, and the joke hinged on her gender identity. Viewers and advocacy groups slammed the show for being transphobic and deeply insensitive, accusing Buddy and his team of using someone's identity as a punchline.
The bait's been set.
Now I'm just gonna let it all play out. I'm gonna have a beer, sit back, and enjoy the ride.
The response was swift and brutal. Social media erupted. Advocacy organizations condemned the show, and longtime fans began questioning their loyalty to the once wholesome Cake Boss. What had once been seen as family-friendly fun now looked tone-deaf and out of touch. And just when things couldn't get worse, they did. In 2015, a former employee, whose name was withheld for privacy reasons, filed a lawsuit accusing Buddy of misconduct and inappropriate workplace behavior. The allegations painted an ugly picture, describing a pattern of mean-spirited remarks and gestures that allegedly created a hostile work environment. The media latched on instantly. Headlines branded Buddy as the tyrant of Carlo's bakery, and the wholesome family man image he'd built for years started to crumble.
From running a small bakery to running what I run now, you would think that I work less, but I actually work more.
By this point, the damage was undeniable. Ratings began to nosedive in 2015, signaling the beginning of the end for Cake Boss. The audience that once adored Buddy's brash personality and family chaos had moved on, and the show suddenly felt dated. Reality TV had evolved. Newer, slicker baking competitions like the Great British Bake Off and high-drama cooking shows with fresher faces were capturing audiences worldwide. Meanwhile, Cake Boss, once groundbreaking, felt like yesterday's news. Between bad press, lawsuits, and shifting audience taste, Cake Boss found itself trapped in a perfect storm. By 2016, what had started as a cultural juggernaut was limping toward the finish line, a fallen giant in the world it helped create.
Important. I mean, to carry the legacy of the brand and what my father, left me and my family to carry on.
As ratings dropped, it became clear that Cake Boss had lost its frosting. What was once must-see TV turned into background noise. And by 2017, TLC quietly pulled the plug on the show that once defined reality baking. But the story didn't end there. After the cameras stopped rolling, the cast scattered, some thriving, others struggling to hold on to the fame that once was. New bakeries popped up, side hustles launched, and everyone tried to keep their slice of the spotlight. Buddy Valastro, the face and force behind the brand, didn't fade away. He doubled down, still running his New Jersey and Las Vegas bakeries. He expanded into full-blown restaurant ventures and even launched his own line of sauces and snacks. In 2018, he opened Buddy V's Italian restaurant in Las Vegas, serving up old-school Italian comfort food with a Cake Boss twist, including his iconic lobster tail pastry.
Instead of putting the pâte choux or cream puff mix inside, it's a ricotta cheese and polenta mixture.
Never one to stay out of the spotlight, Buddy returned to TV with Bake Squad on Discovery Plus and the competitive Buddy Versus. Duff's series on Food Network, part rivalry, part ego match. Add in cookbooks, merch, and brand deals, and Buddy's made it clear. Cake Boss might be over, but he's not done baking up fame. Meanwhile, Mauro Castano, his loyal right-hand man, has quietly kept Carlo's bakery running. Yet fans still wonder, after all those years of sugar, sweat, and loyalty, was Mauro ever meant to share the throne? Or was Buddy always destined to be the only true boss? Born in Milan, Italy, Mauro Castano brought more than pastry skills to America. He brought family drama. After moving to the U.S. in 1976, he joined Carlo's bakery and literally married into the Valastro clan, tying the knot with Buddy's sister Madalena in 1991. As Buddy's right-hand man, Mauro helped create countless Cake Boss masterpieces. Though insiders say working that close to Buddy often meant clashing over creativity and family politics.
I think it's important to show where we came from, never forgetting who helped us along the way.
Joey Fogno, Buddy's brother-in-law and head baker, married the eldest sister Grace and kept the ovens running while trying to balance business with family pride. Their calm, collected image on TV reportedly hid real tension behind the scenes. Frankie Amato Jr., Buddy's second cousin, was the creative cake decorator and fan favorite, but fame and fatigue soon cracked the bakery's family-first vibe. Then there was Danny Dragone, the loyal workhorse known as the Mule, who did everything from deliveries to cleanups long before the cameras arrived. But once Cake Boss blew up, his old-school grit was often overshadowed by the show's Hollywood shine. And finally, Grace Fogno, the face of the front counter and the quiet enforcer, constantly balanced customer charm, family loyalty, and the occasional Cake Boss power struggle between her husband Joey and her brother Buddy. Then there's Madalena Castano, Buddy's second oldest sister, the quiet force that kept Carlo's bakery from crumbling. She managed the front counter, balanced customers and chaos, and and made sure the sugar-coated empire actually ran. Married to Mauro, Buddy's trusted pastry chef, Madalena was more than a manager. She was the family's stabilizer. But behind that calm smile, insiders say she knew everything, every feud, every secret, and stepped in fast when the family brand was at risk.
And I looked her in the eye and I told her, Ma, I said, I owe everything to you.
Mary Ciarone, Buddy's third oldest sister, was the complete opposite. Fiery, outspoken, and allergic to diplomacy. Her brutal honesty made her a fan favorite and a production nightmare. After being temporarily fired in season 5 for inappropriate comments, Mary's absence proved one thing: the show needed its drama magnet. So she came back, rebranded as a cake consultant. Because let's face it, Cake Boss without Mary was like frosting without flavor. And then there's Lisa Velastro, the youngest sister, the one who kept her head down while chaos swirled around her. Handling billing and storefront duties, she stayed mostly behind the scenes until her husband, Remigio Remy Gonzalez, was arrested on assault charges. The scandal shattered the family's wholesome image and forced Lisa into a spotlight she never wanted. Their eventual divorce closed one chapter, but the shadow of that controversy still lingers over the Velastro name. From Hoboken streets to global fame, Cake Boss rose like a sugar-coated empire, then cracked under the weight of family drama, scandal, and fame fatigue. What started as a heartwarming tribute to Buddy's late father became a reality TV cautionary tale about mixing business, blood, and fame. Today, Buddy Velastro still wears the Cake Boss crown, but the throne wobbles, held up by nostalgia, controversy, and loyal fans who can't look away. Because if Cake Boss taught us anything, it's that behind every sweet success, there's always a mess in the kitchen. That's it for today. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.